Happy Monday, everyone, or well, depending on when and where you're watching this. But today we got a very special video as we got a surprise blog post about the new ISO-8 feature coming to the game, and there's a lot of stuff here. It also seems like the patch is coming out tomorrow, Tuesday the 29th, which was my original prediction, and then I thought it would get pushed back because this wasn't actually mentioned on Friday's blog post, but here it is. It's here now, and we're going to go over it, except not through the blog post. I have done something different and created a PowerPoint presentation for you guys with some photos and stuff that helps explain all of this a bit better. Now, because I don't want to get in the way of the presentation, I will be turning off my green screen for the video, but it's probably for the best. And of course, while I think I'll be covering most things in this video, if there is something that I forgot or left out, feel free to leave it in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer your questions. But without further ado, let's get into it. Alright everyone, so this is my very first time using PowerPoint for a video. I haven't done this before in any of my YouTube videos, but I thought that this would help get some information out there regarding ISO-8. There is quite a bit here, so hopefully we can get all of it covered, and like I said, if there's any questions, then feel free to ask in the comments below or on Discord where you can find me as well. So this is going to be an ISO-8 tutorial where we're going to talk about everything and have a brief rundown and guide to ISO-8 to sum up the blog post and about everything that we know so far based on the information that's been posted. So what do we know about ISO-8 so far? We know that it unlocks at account level 55, so this is your commander level, not character levels or anything like that. So as far as I'm aware, that once you do unlock the ISO-8 feature, that you can actually equip this to any of your characters regardless of their level, unless we do find out that it is actually character level locked as well, but they didn't say anything about that. Once you unlock ISO-8, you are going to get 2 new ISOTOPE Campaign Chapters, and this is going to include brand new energy systems as well. So this isn't going to use your existing energy that's used for farming character shards or gear or anything like that. So you're going to get new isotope energy, I suppose. And with this, we're going to get 5 different ISO-8 classes, which will add extra stats, powers, and abilities to all your characters depending on which class you choose. Now, the order of events in which you'll do this, though, is you'll start by acquiring the ISO-8 crystals, equipping the crystals, customizing your character, and unlocking and choosing the class that you want. And we're going to go over this one by one. So to start, acquiring the crystals for ISO-8. Now, in the picture here, you can see this was the ISOTOPE Campaign Chapter here, and you'll see that as rewards you get, I'm assuming it's not a 100% chance, but you'll get a chance to get some of these crystals on top of some blue and purple gear, which is actually really new player friendly as well. So this is a really great improvement here. So you're going to farm them via the new campaign with this new ISO energy. So you can see on the photo as well that you have a max of 120 energy. My guess is you're going to be able to refresh this with power cores as well, so you're going to have to balance out the kind of power cores that you use both for the regular campaigns and for the ISO-8 campaign, so keep in mind about that. You're also going to be able to open basic ISO orbs for crystals as well. As you can see in the bottom photo here, you're going to collect these. I think you're going to be using the ions to, there's just a separate currency as you can see in the top photo to open these, but I'm unsure. Actually, it does look in the second photo that there is some sort of fragments, I suppose. Now, I'm not exactly sure where you get those. It wasn't, unless it's also on the, it might be actually on the orb, on the campaign event as, the campaign node as well, but the picture doesn't show it itself there. There's going to be a total of 25 crystals, 5 per stat and 5 per trait. So for example, you're going to need Brawler Health, Brawler Focus, Resistance, and so on. So each trait is going to have 5 for a total combination of 25 different crystals that are farmable. And how you're going to equip these crystals, well, like I said, there is 5 of each of them. You're going to equip crystals to each stat quadrant, so health, damage, armor, resistance, and focus. And when you get level 1 for each of these 5, you'll be able to unlock the class that you choose. And then for leveling up those classes, you'll be doing the same thing by getting level 2 crystals for those as well. So as far as we know right now, crystals can be fused into higher levels. It's going to take 3 level 1 crystals to make a level 2 crystal, and then 9 level 2 crystals to make 1 level 3. And that's all we've seen so far. My guess is going to be multiplicative, so for level 4 and 5 it's going to be something pretty crazy, probably 20 plus for level 4 and so on. So once all 5 of those slots are equipped, you can choose your class that you want for your character. And so from that, we do have 5 total classes to choose from: the Striker, the Healer, the Raider, the Fortifier, the Skirmisher, and the Skirmisher. I'm not sure why I kept going. You can upgrade these crystal levels to unlock new abilities for that classes as well, up to a max of level 5 currently in the game. And so what do you do after choosing your class? Well, you'll start by fusing enough level 1 crystals to create level 2 crystals. That way you can upgrade your character's class to the next level, which will unlock more abilities for them. And then once all quadrants have level 2 crystals, then you can upgrade to the next rank, and so on and so forth. Repeat this process all the way up to level 5 by fusing up older ones to get to the next rank. It is going to take a little bit of time here though, so most likely you're going to have to focus on a handful of characters that you want to gear up with ISO-8 first. You know, this is going to be a marathon, not a race. So my personal opinion would be to start with the characters that you are going to be using most frequently, your arena team and things like that, and work on those first before going on to other characters. Now, upgrading classes do require basic ions as well as fusing ISO-8s together. So you can see that both in the first and the second photo there that you get these this new currency, which is on the bottom there. So you get 20,000 of these currencies every single day just by opening 2 orbs. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be all that much to fuse. I don't really know what the cost of it is going to be to equip. I don't know if this is going to be a bottleneck of any degree. We don't really know that until we actually see it in practice. So there are going to be a variety of ways to get these ions, and from the look of the top photo, they have like 240,000. So I don't know if this is going to be a bottleneck, but we'll have to wait. And so we're going to do a quick class breakdown of what we know so far based on the photos that we've seen of all 5 of the classes. So the first one is going to be the Healer Breakdown. So this is the photo here. They all use Captain Marvel on the side, but it gives us a little look at all the different abilities here. So you gain % active healing. Now this improves the flat healing done by characters, not the regeneration amount. So it's not going to impact any of the regenerations that characters might do. Up to a total of 15% by level 5. So it starts at 5% at level 1, and then you get a boost at level 5 for an additional 10% for a total of 15%. On turn, it applies a minor regeneration to the lowest health ally. Now, I don't know how much healing this is going to be. It could be anywhere from 5 to 10% of characters' max health, because I think regular regeneration is 15 or 20%, something like that. So I imagine it's going to be something about half of that. And then you're going to gain percentage of max health, but 20% by level 5. And all of the classes actually include something like this as well. So you're not actually losing this depending on what class you get. And on turn, heal lowest health ally by 5% of this character's max health at level 3. So that's an additional upgrade there, which is kind of neat. And I would probably give this to characters with actual healing skills like Shuri, who have kind of flat healing amounts. Now, I don't know how this is being impacted exactly. So for characters that do have healing skills, you know, normally it's something like heal for 10-15% of your max health plus a flat amount. Now, I don't know if this is impacting the percentage portion of that or just the flat amount. I know at least it's going to be the flat amount, and I don't know if it's going to be the percent. Like, let's say 15% on top of, you know, 15% would be, I don't know, like 16.5, for example. So I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but probably at least the flat healing amount. And now we're moving on to the Striker. So this is the Striker Breakdown. On primary hit, if target is vulnerable, make an ISO-8 bonus, or an ISO bonus attack at 50% damage up to 100% at level 5. This attack also clears one vulnerable. So this is really important that whoever actually applies the vulnerable, which is going to come from the other classes, is actually going to clear this debuff. So yeah, whoever's using this, you want to make sure it's going to count. And they're also going to gain 15% damage at level 5. It starts with, I believe, 5% there at level 1, and then you gain an additional 5% at 3 and level 5. Everyone also gets to gain 20% max health, like I said, and this is useful for very strong damage characters to enhance them even further. Characters like Captain Marvel, Black Bolt, characters that with really strong burst attacks, I could see this being really good. Now moving on to class number 3, the Skirmisher. On primary hit, apply vulnerable. So this is the new status effect that we're going to see, which is related to ISO. And this vulnerability also increases incoming damage by 10%. So this is notified on the screen. I think I have a photo later down of them having, I mean, I'm not sure if I do or not, but it's like a little purple background, hence why it's purple on the screen there. It's going to be a purple circle on the screen when you go into battle. On primary hit, if target is vulnerable, clear positive effects 1 at level 3 and 2 at level 5. So this is quite something, you know, that's a lot of positive effect clearing for characters that maybe don't have positive effect clearing already. So this could really change the way that characters work if you give them the Skirmisher class. So this is really cool. This attack that clears the positive effects also does not remove vulnerable like Striker's attacks do, so that's important as well. Gain 20% max health, just like everyone else. So another solid DPS choice, probably at least one per team. You're going to want to have this. I would think, my personal opinion is that probably faster characters would be better to have this, so that they apply more vulnerables to more characters. Characters like Carnage, maybe you could consider doing this, especially if they're going to be clearing positive effects and they're quick. Yo-Yo perhaps as well, you know, things like that, who are going to take their turns more frequently. I think that could be a good idea. Now, moving on to the Fortifier Breakdown. Unfortunately, we don't have the same window as we did for the other classes. We just had this screenshot here of Emma Frost and some of the text related to Fortifier. So, it will apply Barrier to Self up to 35,000 by level 5. We don't know the individual level breakdowns, or at least I don't have a photo of that. On turn, it's going to Barrier yourself for 7% of this character's max health. Again, likely at level 5. Don't know the breakdowns there. Could start, very likely it's going to start lower, maybe 3 or 5% or something like that. Of course, everyone gets the max health, and that's at level 5. We know that, and so we're unsure what levels and what the amounts exactly are going to be for the barriers, because I didn't have the access to the photo. This is very useful for tanks without barrier. I don't know if I would apply this to someone like Strife, because he already gets something like that. But maybe Colossus or someone else who doesn't actually get buried. This could be really cool too. Or for very squishy characters that are likely to die. I'm looking at people like Cyclops, Electro, maybe, you know, people with really low hit points. Human Torch, I might give this to Human Torch, because, you know, there's a lot of typical low hit point characters that could really benefit from something like this, at least the on-spawn barrier. So that's something to keep in mind there. And finally, we do have the Raider Breakdown. So this, I don't have a photo for this either, but we just know what we've seen so far. So it increases critical hit percentage. Don't have the exact numbers or how high that's going to be. And they also are the second class that applies vulnerable to enemies. So very likely, just like the Skirmisher, it's going to apply vulnerable on hit, and so that's on primary target hit rather. I don't know if this impacts AOE attacks. I don't know if any attack that that any person they hit applies vulnerable, or if it's only the first person. So if there's an AoE attack, I don't know if it applies vulnerable to everyone or not. I don't have that information. We might just have to wait and see about that. So Raider and Skirmishers are the only classes that apply vulnerable to enemy, and likely will be for characters who can take advantage of crits more often, and maybe who assist more frequently. So characters like Bullseye, Taskmaster, who are constantly hitting, that could be an idea for that. And if anyone has any other suggestions for the Raider class, I'm welcome to hear about that too. So those are all the 5 classes, and that's most of the information that we have so far. And so my final thoughts on this, you're definitely going to need to balance your energy and core consumption on new ISOTOPE campaign chapters to farm crystals. So, if there's not a lot of things that you need right now out of the main campaign, for some people, maybe you can focus on using your power cores more on the ISOTOPE campaign to farm these crystals, which are going to be really important, definitely for endgame progression, but also just for progression in general for your characters. And how is this going to impact immediate game modes such as Arena and Alliance War, and stats and powers related to those to stay competitive? So especially in Arena, where at least for me it's a massive Black Order fest, it's really going to come down to whoever has the highest levels of upgrades for your ISO classes to stay competitive, and at least that's what I'm going to be focusing on in the immediate term. In the short term, rather. And how is this going to change the PvP landscape if they continue with that forward? So I don't know if they've really made mention about balanced PvP and how ISO-8 is going to be in it or not. I don't know if they've said anything about that, so it will be interesting to hear about that. And this has real potential to overhaul what we know of the existing teams and character metas. I don't know if this is gonna, stop you from using certain characters or somehow make crappier characters better, but this is gonna make interesting choices depending on what classes you pick for some of these teams and individual characters, so that's pretty cool. Get farming those ISO crystals, because it's gonna take a lot of them, probably, especially to get to like level 3 or higher, and you're gonna need a lot of these things, so definitely work on that. If this is something that is gonna take a while, but definitely you're gonna need to improve your character stats and power. And it could also help you complete existing PvE content, including Dark Dimension 2 and 3 and things like that, where people have have said how, especially Dark Dimension 3 and how powerful the enemies are. And with the introduction of ISO-8, I think this could help a little bit. Things like the Fortifier class with some barriers that could help people from getting wiped out right out of the gate. So it'll be interesting to see how this impacts the landscape of the game going forward. And it's super exciting. So that's all my final thoughts for this. Let me know what you guys think, though. I really hope that some of this helped and didn't confuse people too much further about the ISO-8 system. It's going to be quite an important progression system as we move further with the game, and getting an idea of it now before the patch will help you understand and maybe start thinking about which of your characters you might want to give each class. Now, I haven't quite thought that far myself yet, but I suspect I'll be starting off, like I said, with my Black Order in terms of my ISO-8 priority. Haven't quite thought about who I'm going to be giving each character what class yet, though, so yeah, it'll be some interesting times ahead. If you guys enjoyed this video or found this informative, then please smash that like button down below and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And that's all from me for today's special video, and until next time guys, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later in patch 4.4, which will be hitting the game tomorrow, Tuesday, September the 29th. Boylan signing out.